We have a little entertainment tonight.
I miss Sarah.
Sarah's up against it. Her father had a stroke and they're caring for him at home.
No personal stuff on the set.
I like that. I like that, Smith. Smith, you'll go far here. At least to the train station. It's a good one. We're live. So let's see. It's exactly 7 o'clock. We're lucky. This is the Tibet Center, Kunchab Tardulinga Buddhist Meditation and Study Center, located in New York City and northern New Jersey. Temporarily, we're shut out of New York City on Tuesdays because they sold the building. So we'll be here until we find a new New York location. We'll probably go back to Monday night and Wednesday night. In fact, starting November 11th, Monday night here in New Jersey and Wednesday night here in New Jersey at the Parsonage. This is our twice-weekly presentation of the Buddha Dharma. Specifically, we're studying secular ethics based on this book called Beyond Religion by His Holiness, plus other interesting things folded in so you don't get bored. All the prayers we say should be on the website. Nothing is definite here in this world. In the FAQ section, scroll down to prayers. If there's anyone whom you want us to pray for who has passed away recently, put their names in the chat box so that when we say Sutra, the Recollection of the Three Jewels, people will see their names, so I'll recite them, and they'll remember them. So we'll start. Prayer for the spreading of the teachings throughout the length and breadth of the West. By the force of the blessings of the nine fallacious, three precious gems, and of the truth of our pure selfless wishes, may the precious Buddhist teachings flourish and spread to the expansible areas throughout the length and breadth of the West. For all the people living there together with their near ones who have engaged in the teachings and have faith and respect for them, may all conditions adverse to their practice of the pure Dharma be dispelled, and an excellent collection of favorable conditions increase like the waxing moon. And especially for those who work on methods to accomplish the flourishing and spreading of the victorious one's teachings, which are the source of benefit and happiness, may they never be oppressed by masses of interference and adverse conditions, and may this spontaneously happen just as we have hoped and wished. By the way, I didn't mention that we're under the direction of Chabje Ling Rinpoche in the co-direction of Rato Kenser Tupten Lundup, also known as Geshe Nikki Vreeland. I am neither of those, I'm just an old student. The Heart Sutra. Thus have I heard once, the Blessed One was dwelling in the royal domain of the Vulture Peak Mountain, together with a big gathering of great monks and great bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One entered the samadhi which examines the dharmas, called profound illumination. And at the same time, noble Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, Mahasattva, looking at the profound practice of transcendent knowledge, saw the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Then, through the inspiration of the Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Avalokiteshvara, "How should those noble ones learn who wish to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge?" And Avalokiteshvara answered, "Venerable Shariputra, whoever wishes to follow the profound practice of transcendent knowledge should look at it like this, seeing the five skandhas in their natural emptiness. Form is empty. Emptiness itself is form. Emptiness is not separate from form. Form is not separate from emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discriminating awareness, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Thus, all the dharmas are empty and have no characteristics. They are unborn and unceasing. They are not impure or pure. They neither decrease nor increase. Therefore, since there is emptiness, there is no form, no feeling, no discriminating awareness, no compositional factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no appearance, no sound, no smell, no taste, no sensation, no objects of mind, no quality of sight, no quality of hearing, no quality of smelling, no quality of tasting, no quality of sensing, no quality of thought, no quality of mind consciousness. There are no nidanas from ignorance to old age and death, nor their wearing out. There is no suffering, no cause of suffering, no ending of suffering, and no path, no wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, since there is no attainment, the bodhisattvas abide by means of transcendent knowledge. And since there is no obscurity of mind, they have no fear. They transcend falsity and pass beyond the bounds of sorrow. All the Buddhas who dwell in the past, present, and future by means of transcendent knowledge, fully and clearly awaken to unsurpassed, true, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of transcendent knowledge, the mantra of deep insight, the unsurpassed mantra, the unequaled mantra, the mantra which calms all suffering should be known as truth, for there is no deception. In transcendent knowledge, the mantra is proclaimed, Tayat Om Gate Gate Paragate Parasam Gate Bodhisoha. O Shariputra, this is how a Bodhisattva Mahasattva should learn profound transcendent knowledge. Then the Blessed One arose from that samadhi and praised the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Avalokiteshvara, saying, Good, good, O son of noble family, profound, transcendent knowledge should be practiced just as you have taught, and the Tathagatas will rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Shariputra and Avalokiteshvara, that whole gathering in the world with its gods, humans, asuras, and Gandharvas, their hearts full of joy, praise the words of the Blessed One. And now refuge and bodhisattva vow, which appears, under the banner generating bodhicitta. We say these verses 3 times. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. With the wish to free all beings, I shall always go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha until I reach full enlightenment. Inspired by wisdom and compassion today in the Buddha's presence, I generate the mind intent on full awakening for the benefit of all sentient beings. As long as space endures, as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. So, I'll mention it 5 million times. Starting November 11th, we'll go to a Monday, Wednesday schedule, which we had all these years. We had to go Tuesday, Wednesday because the people in New York City only had space rental on Tuesday, so that's that. So we're studying beyond religion, and we're studying, it's called secular ethics, but we always blend in a few other things. This book is called Practical Buddhism, Living Everyday Life, and it's just that. Ordinary practitioner, although he's not ordinary, he's pretty good. He's very frank. He's the Professor Kenneth Lieberman. I mention him all the time. He has several Buddhist books. He's a translator of especially the first Panchen Lama's works. Professor Emeritus at Oregon University in the Sociology Department. He's also spent a lot of time living at Sarah Monastery in the guest house, over 4 or 5 years, at least, maybe more. This book is like his own personal vignettes about living the life of a lay Buddhist in India, in Baja California, in Oregon, those things. So this chapter is called Putting Off Until Tomorrow What One Can Do Today. So we're going to have a chapter, Don't Procrastinate. But here's how to artfully procrastinate. Or as the both bumper stickers can proclaim, procrastinate now. So this is on page what? Let me see, 99 of this book, published in the Practical Buddhism, forward by Chodron, Venerable Thupten Chodron. Optimizing our potential does not always mean to perform more or to be more active. This is the art of pacing yourself, mentally, physically. And it makes sense. He's not a lazy person. He's a lot of translating, lectures and everything. So He continues, we fill our lives up daily with activities. Some of these activities are able to calm us. Yoga would be one good example. Reading a good book, another. And being with a good friend is a third. Good. Other activities can speed us up, quickening our mental energies and stirring up our adrenal juices. Either kind of activity may be desirable at different times, and the skill and means involves knowing which activity is best to engage in on any particular occasion. Timing. Right? Our mundane lives consist of exercising this skill and means on a continuous basis, and it's very good advice. He continues, in contemporary society, optimizing a situation frequently demands becoming more active, even when our physical and spiritual health, I like that, may benefit more by our being less active. Our body requires some calm in order for the immune response to function well. If we are always tense, the adrenaline will flow, which brings us additional energy at the expense of our immune system. Those times when the body functions primarily in its autonomic nervous system, and when the immune response can be most fully activated, such as during sleep, meditation, or during relaxing activities, each day our body has different needs, and we should develop some body wisdom to recognize those needs, which can even change during the course of a day, of course. To mindlessly keep, quote, doing may be to exercise more brute ignorance than skill and means. That is one of the important lessons yoga can teach. This you have to monitor yourself. Only you can pay out when I'm active, when I'm not, when I push it, when I don't. And you got to learn to listen to your body, especially your nervous system. He continues on page 100, if you're keeping score. One thing I find too activating is working at a computer terminal late at night. Especially when there are bugs in the software that require solution. Sounds familiar? We have. At most times, I accept computer obstinacy as a cerebral challenge, like any other good puzzle. Getting printers to function smoothly, downloading the right driver, sorting out a malfunctioning iPod, getting wireless connectivity to function, or whatever it might be, are inevitable parts of living with computers. There is nothing wrong with such activities in themselves. But when one wishes to calm down from a busy day and prepare for a night of restful sleep, it may be best to leave such puzzle solving and screen gazing to the next day. We are inviting trouble when prior to our sleep we get our nervous system stressed by undertaking frenzied tasks as part of our daily productive work, so that the nervous system will keep on running at the same level of speed, past the time for it to quit, and we become unable to slow it down. Moderating the level of our nervous activity is nothing like turning a light switch on and off. Our level of nervous activity has its own momentum, and it requires some time to slow it down by gradually habituating it to progressively slower tasks. Being a clown here. Even though we may have 90 minutes available for computer hacking before we have to go to bed, for example, it may be that we will find ourselves unable to shut down our biocomputer as easily as we can our terminal. If that is the situation, then it behooves us to spend that 90 minutes finding a more relaxing activity in order to commence the process of lowering the level of stress in preparation for a night's sleep. Stargazing or book reading will produce better results. Good advice. I have also forbidden myself to use a computer during the first hour after awakening. The opportunity to work quietly in the morning sunlight with a single-minded concentration focused peacefully upon something profound, which can vary among writing, meditation, and reading the most challenging text currently resting on my desk, is too precious to surrender to the Red Bull-like jolt, Red Bull-like jolt, that connecting with the internet can give. Yeah, there's a rush, I would say. Oh yes, what's this? What's that? Scroll your news as soon as you wake up on your phone? No good. unclean. While the internet promises to deliver the world, where's my coffee? It's not here. Too frequently it delivers superficialities that masquerade as important. Any network news, it's all quick. You know, I don't have to tell. So I delay it for that first most productive hour, which is true. Even His Holiness says the first thing you should do is calm down and see if you can get some meditation in when you wake up. And then, whatever else you do. But the first half hour should be sacred, more or less. Shouldn't plunge into the frenziness. I mean, if you're in a situation, an emergency, that's different. But if you can arrange, sometimes you have no choice. It is good to offer our body calm at the beginning and conclusion of each day. On occasion, the body will be exhausted from too much physical labor, or one can feel run down just by successfully fighting off a cold. The body has its own ways. The ability required may consist of simply recognizing accurately what the body needs and not forcing ourselves beyond our optimal capabilities. There are always contradictions too, since sometimes we may be able to enhance our natural capacity by pushing ourselves a little past the point at which we wish to stop. But the key words here are a little bit, which is something quite different from on and on. The critical mistake is being unable to recognize the on and on before it occurs. That on and on can eventually lead to madness. We must learn to act wisely. This automatic, frantic pilot that you go on, you're getting it's not good. Yesterday, he continues, was a day of endless activities, all congenial to me. I surfed for 2 hours. Lucky this guy, he's in Baja California a lot of the time. I surfed for 2 hours, a real Californian. Read 40 pages from a challenging text on Buddhist epistemology, wrote some letters on the computer, sent some emails by my satellite internet hookup, jogged 2 miles, and then commenced my 75-minute-long Ashtanga yoga practice on my roof. But there's more. He didn't load up that much. My body was tired, not so much from the active day as from a series of active days, and I realized that it was time to rest. Midway through my asana practice, the different poses, I fell into some deep relaxation in between each position. And so I cultivated them. My nerves seemed to bathe in the conscious relaxation I was able to find while dwelling in between each one. Taking a break between each one. Oh, all right, next posture, but let me wait a minute. That's what's going on. I was able to find while dwelling in between each one, this conscious relaxation I was able to find while dwelling in between each one. The day's yoga asana practice resided not in the actual positions themselves, but in the resting between them, so that the resting periods took 3 times longer than the actual position taking. I was amazed at how peaceful I felt there up on my roof, looking at the ever-blue Baja sky. Finally, I suspended my practice halfway through and just relaxed in what recent yogis call yoga nidra. But the name is probably more of a distraction than an aid. It is simply surrendering to some rest when your body is seeking it. After my practice, I came downstairs and cooked dinner, and I had planned to solve my printing problems, 2 computers and 2 printers with none of them functioning together. I knew it would be a, quote, busy activity if I was to have any success at it. My judgment was that I should not be restirring my nervous system after it had finally settled itself into a sweet purr, and I feared that any new busyness might intervene with a good night's sleep. So I abandoned the last of my day's chores and started a Western novel by Larry McMurtry. I read for 90 minutes and then dropped into 9 full hours of recuperative sleep, rising early to take up my agenda again the next day. Well, good for you. The key is we can't live lives like this, surfing and the roof and this and that, but we have to pace ourselves. It's very important for practitioners because a lot of people have time-consuming commitments that they have to squeeze into a day of work, a day of errands, a day of arguing on the computer. whatever. Commuting in New York City, whatever. So, that's a little diversion. I hope it's helpful. The main thing is no real system. There's no real this, and this. It's you realizing that you have an autonomic, what's the right pronunciation?
Yeah, that's it.
Autonomic nervous. Listen to it. Because things like the media, TV, they have their own pace. You're listening to something in the car. Hurry, 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 blah, blah, shut up. So, for practitioners, it's very important. Because we have to absorb material, not just with the mind, but also with the emotions, with the heart. We have to stop and dwell on things and look at things from different angles to improve our life. And that's it. So I'll read the last paragraph that we ended with. This is on page 157. This is the chapter is called Meditation as Mental Cultivation, and the section is called A Process of Transformation. So I'm on 157, like 4 lines in. There is nothing, His Holiness says, there is nothing mysterious about this process of transformation. In fact, it is something that occurs in our everyday lives. A good analogy is the process of acquiring a skill, such as swimming or riding a bicycle, where the key factor is actual practice. Actual practice. Now, how do I do this? Do I sit on the bike? No. Get on and start trying it. Swimming the same way. In the context of education, for example, this progression from first hearing or learning to deepening one's understanding through critical reflection to conviction is quite usual. It is well known, for instance, that knowledge that is based simply on hearing or reading without being processed through reflection does not lead to strong conviction. For this reason, it cannot result in any real change. But if, through critical reflection, we have gained a deep conviction about what we have learned, this can lead to a serious commitment on our part to make that knowledge part of our personal outlook. And that's what we're trying to do with these meditation topics, to become them, to make them part of our character. Why? Because that's the way, well, figure it out. There's a lot of reasons. You should know why. What's the positive? And what am I doing now that's against that positivity, or whatever you want to call it? So, now we'll pick it up. This process applies not just to the development of the intellect, but also that of more effective qualities such as compassion. So this is a big point. It's not just learning things and yes, empty, but to develop our heart, compassion, empathy, etc. Through critical reflection, we come to recognize the value of compassion. That's the homework before you really start developing. And then as you are developing, you realize this is helpful. This is helpful. A lot of the things I was guarding, I dropped the guard. I have more space. Compassion does that. You think it would make it, well, I have to worry about all these. No. There's a closeness you feel to people that you develop. It takes a lot of load off your brain, your mind, your soul, whatever you want to call it. Whatever is working in there. The value of this can in turn lead to a profound admiration of the virtue itself. Admiration of the virtue may then lead to a commitment to cultivate compassion within ourselves, and this commitment to actual practice, and from this commitment to the actual practice. We admire it, we want to do it, we do it. You have to make those steps though. Figure out what it is. Fool around with the ideas, concept, role play in your mind. Slowly it takes root. And then there's a big burden left off you. You're not guarding the fort anymore. You're looking out to see what you can do for others. Looking out to see how they suffer. No need to be jealous of everyone. Everyone is here is in samsara, unless those that are playing the role as teachers, etc. So they're all, in a sense, suffering. It's a universal thing. Good morning. TV doesn't tell you, advertising and all that. The corporate world, they'll never tell you that. They're the causes of the suffering. But anyway, we'll leave that to. So it's very important that we admiration first. When you admire someone, a good comedian, a good singer, a good actor, you were in that business, you want to emulate them totally. And you study them. Same thing here. In other words, awareness of the benefits gives rise to conviction that it is worthwhile to practice, and practice leads us to actually realize or bring into being the quality of virtue we began by reflecting on. So we start reflecting on this, and then we come to realize, well, I'm not that way. That's not part of my character. I admire it, though. I should be that way. What's going on? And you investigate, and you do the exercises prescribed, the Buddhist meditations on compassion, and open yourself up. And the rewards are infinite, literally. Forms of mental cultivation on page 158. Forms of mental cultivation. Lighting here is terrible. Let me see. Oh, well, we'll live with it. All the major faith traditions emphasize the importance of developing one's inner life. I'm going to move the light. Aha. A genius. That's it. That's perfect. I can see that. Help, I'm getting a tan. Well, that's good. Good. Very good, Carol. Now I can see what the hell I'm doing. Ladies and gentlemen, my hands for Carol Walker. That's not her real name. It's her show name. All the major faith traditions emphasize the importance of developing one's inner life. And a lot of us run around, we don't even realize we have an inner life. Man. So it's the first start is to start looking in, not out there, in here. And many of the techniques found in my own tradition, His Holiness is saying, exist in some form in other traditions as well. In particular, there are many similarities between the various mental training practices used in different Indian contemplative traditions. But large areas are shared with other spiritual traditions too. Recently, for example, I attended a very enjoyable and informative talk on contemplative prayer given by a Christian Carmelite monk who pointed out some striking similarities between Christian and Buddhist techniques. He doesn't go into them. Perhaps another book or a movie, I don't know. Yet, he continues, for all the associations of meditation or mental cultivation with religion, there's no reason why it should not be undertaken in an entirely secular context. It doesn't have to be in the context of religion. A lot of people have bad feelings about religion, not interested, that's it. But still, this benefits them. You're developing yourself to your ultimate potential, which is actually, don't tell anyone, but it's Buddhahood. So, after all, mental discipline itself requires no faith commitment. You have to believe this? No.
Can you repeat that?
Mental discipline itself requires no faith commitment. You don't have to believe this or that. It doesn't have to be given by Rabbi this, Father that. No. All it requires, here's the answer, is a recognition that developing a calmer, clearer mind is a worthwhile endeavor, and an understanding that doing so will benefit oneself and others. Ha! There's something in it for me. Good old me. Yeah, calmer, clearer mind. People don't even know those things exist. They follow the chatter of the mind. It's only the surface. There's other things in there that you have to be aware of. Since beginningless time, we've been unaware of it. It's time to open up now. Worthwhile endeavor and understanding that doing so will benefit oneself and others. So far as my own daily practice is concerned, besides certain specifically religious and devotional exercise, I engage in, this is Holiness talking now, in two main types of mental cultivation practice: discursive or analytic meditation and absorptive meditation. This is very key. The two types, Qigong and Qigong, something like Qigong. Qigong, yes. Absorptive, staying on a point, or staying on an idea of compassion, embellishing it, getting a strong feeling and holding that feeling, absorptive. Analytic meditation, which brings you to that point. Why should I develop compassion? What's in it for me? What's this? And slowly you're building up to, and this takes days, weeks, months, long time. Mental changing takes, what's the word I really want? Mental development takes a long time. But you have to start, and don't forget, this mind goes life to life to life, and whatever mental development goes on in this life is not lost.
Cumulative.
Cumulative is another one, better. The cognoscenti have spoken. At least one of them. Cognoscenta. So remember that analytic meditation, absorptive meditation, and they work hand in hand. For instance, if you want to develop the compassionate soul, you would think of the reasons why it's helpful in the world to you and to others. And you would go over them, taking your time, keeping the mind clear, try to keep it on track, okay? And then when you get a real strong feeling, you try to hold that. You go into an absorption. The time in that absorption helps change your character. And then you'll fade, you'll bring it up back again, you'll fade, you'll bring it again slowly. The mind is taking, it's very malleable, our minds, very malleable. They're not solid things. Slowly, they change. And what was hard becomes very automatic. Oh yeah, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? It does take years, I would say, honestly. So, the first is a kind of analytic process by means of which the meditator engages in a series of reflection, while the second involves concentrating on a specific object or objective, placing one's mind upon it as if dwelling deeply on a conclusion. I find that combining the two techniques is most beneficial. A lot of people do what they call shamatha meditation, one-pointedness, calming. That's very important too. That's just the gymnastics of holding the mind on a visualized object or on the breath or whatever. That helps. That's a good aid. The more you do that, the more you're able to bring your mind under some sort of control. And when you sit trying to watch just the breath and not lose it for 2 or 3 minutes, forget it. It's over there. Bring it on back. Bring it on back. Slowly, the time where you're not losing the object of meditation starts to stretch out. Again, patience, as they would say, the patience, most important. So that's very helpful, though. If you have a mind that can be placed wherever, or you can go into a calmness, and then start reading, studying, whatever, and then holding that, you've improved. And what do you think your nervous system is doing? It's happy, restful, and more intelligence is allowed to come in then, because we're actually blocking our innate intelligence with our craziness. I know. Craziest one. One useful way to understand the different forms of mental cultivation is to look at each practice from the perspective of its objective. Now, what are we doing here? There is, for example, the practice which takes the form of taking something as an object, such as when one takes, say, the fundamental equality of all beings as the object of deep contemplation. We're all the same. Not just a slogan. We're all the same here. We're all one man. Blah, blah, blah. No, Then there's the meditation, the form of cultivation of positive mental qualities. In this form, qualities like compassion and loving kindness are not so much seen as the objects of the practice. Not an object. Rather, the person seeks to cultivate these qualities within his or her heart. Subjective focus. The first of these two approaches correspond to develop mental states that are more cognitively oriented, such as understanding, figuring out, while the second develops more affect-oriented mental states, such as compassion. So using that term, affect-oriented. We might refer to these two processes as, and this is the greatest little piece of educating our mind and educating our heart. Educating our mind and educating our heart, which is the logo on the Tibet Center t-shirt. How's that, Darren, huh?
Is it really?
Pushing the product, yes. What's the logo on our t-shirt, Darren?
It's a lotus.
No, but what's the statement?
Oh, sorry. Train the mind, open the heart.
Training the mind, opening the heart.
Let's see one of those.
We're pushing product here. A brief word from our sponsor, ourselves. Yes, madam. When you stretch your stuff in this, you'll look the best. Hi there. I'm speaking from this behind the Tibet Center
Got a
t-shirt.
nice logo on the sleeve there.
Nice logo. So Christmas is coming, you lapsed Catholics, or whatever you are. Anyway, yeah, that's the point. This is not.
No, I don't.
Patrick Chen thought that up. He's a great practitioner. Kind of a-
Excuse me.
Go right away. Go ahead. You better get the large one. Right. We're selling product. All right, back to work. Come on. Up. He's saying educating our mind and educating our heart. Now he says because we live in an age where much can be done at the touch of a button, and we get very antsy when things don't happen. Like, wow, what's this? Blah, 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 blah. The touch of a button. Some of us may expect to see immediate change in the domain of mental cultivation as well. No, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, and that doesn't mean even when you start, there's immediate results that are subliminal. You don't see it, but you made a big step. You know, we may suppose that inner transformation is simply a matter of getting the correct formula, reciting the right mantra. Would that it would be that way. This is a mistake. Mental cultivation takes time and effort and involves hard work and sustained, keyword, sustained dedication. But you have to do it because we want to wander in samsara, constantly suffering. Death after death, birth after birth, not going, undirected births. Unable to help people when you really want to. You don't have the key to see their minds, how you can change them. That's what we want to be. So that's getting the most out of life. Anything else is, very nice. But, yeah. Dealing with procrastination, after we just heard how to procrastinate cleverly, this is the opposite, excuse me. It's allergy season in the big town. Yeah, look. For the beginning, the first requirement for mental cultivation is a serious commitment to practice. So this is the truth. This is the facts of life. You got to lay out time. You have to do it. You can read books about it. You can discuss it in Starbucks or wherever, in the bar or whatever you hang out, wherever you hang out. But you got to do it. For the beginner, the first requirement for mental cultivation is serious commitment to practice. Without such a commitment, it is unlikely that a person will ever get around to starting at all. Most of us have gone to Buddhist centers, and it was nice, it is this and that, maybe sometimes a couple of years, finally, some of us start in and actually do the practice. Some never do, they just come because it's very nice, and of course they're getting a benefit, they're getting an imprint on their mind, but not as much if they actually started tackling these things quietly in their own home, not in competition with anyone else. No one can look into your mind except high yogis, and you want them looking into your mind. But anyway, that's the point. We have to do it. Just do it. What is that? Some slogan? Some Nike, yeah. I sometimes tell a story in connection with the problem of procrastination. And this I don't understand at all. I'll read it carefully, but maybe you figured it out. I mean, it sounds like he's making a joke or a big thing, but it's not a thigh slapper for me anyway. There once was a Lama who encouraged to encourage his students, promised he would take them on a picnic one day. Oh, nice. This incentive had the hoped-for effect, and the young monks eagerly applied themselves to their studies. Yet the promised picnic did not materialize. After some time, the youngest student, not willing to let go of the prospect of a day off, reminded the teacher of his promise. The Lama responded by saying he was too busy at the moment, so would have to wait a while. A long time passed, and summer gave way to autumn. Again, the student reminded the Lama, when are we going on this famous picnic? A little bit of wine in there, right? Again, the Lama replied, not just now, I'm really far too busy. One day the Lama noticed a commotion among the students. What is happening, he asked. A dead body was being carried out of the monastery. Well, replied the youngest student, that poor man over there is going on a picnic. So he finally got I don't know, it's not that hilarious. Who writes his material? Let me find out. The point of this story is that unless we make time and a proper commitment for the things we tell ourselves and others we are going to do, we will always have the other obligations and more pressing concerns, while death may intervene at any time. Well, that's what he's talking about. And this is true. Time goes quickly. Isn't it better to have said at the end of the day, well, I did some practice today, I did this, I learned a little bit, all right. I'm still not fully enlightened, and no one's coming to my feet, but still, it's better than it was the day before. That's the way you have to think. And pace yourself. Keep books around. There's nothing better than delving into a book for half a page or so of advice. Works. It's very helpful. Keep a good book by your bed before you go to sleep. Read like half a page or a poem or something. Something. It doesn't have to be a Buddhist book. Something positive, though. It then governs your sleep time. If you go to sleep with a positive thought, with a good motivation, let me rest now to help all sentient beings. I hope some way I'll be a Buddha to help all sentient beings. That's it. That whole sleep time is virtuous. So that's getting the benefit without doing it the easy way. There is a loophole here and there, which for a slight fee we will tell. No. Planning our practice, the next section. This is on page 160 of this wonderful book that you just tuned in. Beyond Religion. Da-da-da. At the outset, I should sound a note of caution. As the beginning meditator will quickly discover, and this is a big one, the mind is like a wild horse. Oh, yes. Now, I wasn't raised on a farm. I don't know what a wild horse is, but I've seen movies and cowboy movies. The mind is like a wild horse, and just try to keep it on your mind on the breath or something. You're in for a trip. It's a roller coaster ride, up and down and this and that. Sometimes it comes back quick, sometimes not. That's the way it is. That's what's supposed to happen. Once time, told Rinpoche, this meditation's getting worse. My mind's up with this and this. Everything's going on. And he says, yeah, lots going on there, right? I said, yeah, it's terrible. It's worse than it was. No. He said, you never noticed that. He says, it's like standing on the corner. And we're in New York. He said, you don't realize how many cars are going by us at each light, etc. But if we counted them, we'd see. And what you're doing now is noticing. Not counting each though, but so you are aware of, suddenly becoming aware of what's always there. And that thing that's slipping by your consciousness is influencing you. So the more you sit, try and watch the breath, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever, each day, suddenly you'll find in your everyday walking around life, you start getting hints from what's going on in your mind. Wait a minute, I know I felt that. I had that thought of this and that. And that was just a joke. What am I doing? You let thoughts come in and influence your moods, cause a spark of emotion when they're nothing. So it's very important to take the time to ride this wild horse. Like a wild horse, His Holiness says, it takes a long time as well as familiarity with the person who wishes to tame it before it will settle down and obey commands. The horse has to know the rider. You have to know yourself and know how to pace, and not to too hard. It comes another thought. I always say Suzuki Roshi's advice of watching the mind. When all these thoughts come up, what do? Be like a seasoned grandmother watching kids, not like a new mother. The kids are running around. Oh, go over here! Don't go there! Go there! The seasoned grandmother puts a big mental perimeter around this. It gives them a big field to knock themselves out in. You give your mind a big field for all these thoughts to jump around and knock themselves out, but you don't run with them. That's very good advice. You'll find that in different traditions, Hindu tradition, Theravada tradition, that type of advice, sort of watching the mind but not going crazy. It's like this. A seasoned parent knows when the kid is really in trouble and then hey, get over here. That's it. So something like that. And you'll get the technique and the hang of it when you actually do this. So only with gentle persistence. Gentle persistence is the word he's using. Words he's using. Over an extended period. Gentle persistence over time. Time on the bottom. Extended period. Will the real benefits of meditation become apparent? You're not going to sit here and next month you're a champ. No. Unless in previous lives you were the Mozart of meditation, as one of our friends likes to say. Who was 3-4 years old, he was already writing heavy music. He had it from a previous life. So here, some people take this meditation, take to the studies, because they have previous conditionings, which is very good news. Because anything we do regarding the mind, building it up, taking care of it, goes with us. You can take care of the body, exercise it, put cream on your face, and whatever you do, it goes when it's like that. The mind is not physical. It doesn't obey those rules. Of course, it's all right to set aside just a few days to try out a short program of mental training. You might want to But it is wrong to judge the results before you have really given it a chance. It may take months, even years, and most likely it's years, to realize its full benefits. As to the specifics of practice, early morning is generally the best time of day. At that time, the mind is at its freshest and clearest. However, it is important to remember that if you are to practice well in the early morning, you need to have a good night's sleep beforehand. That's true. We're in a continuity. You just can't say, all right, new day, that's everything. No, you still have echoes and vibrations from the past day. We're in a continuum. Everything is in motion all the time. We seem to think, oh no, now I'll do this. Time is frozen. You're influenced by the past. And you are, in turn, influencing the future. The future, yes, the future. The mind is at its fresh. Oh, it's important you have to have a good night's sleep. For myself, and this I envy him. For myself, I must say that I have been most fortunate when it comes to sleep. Despite rising every morning around 3:30 a.m., on average, I make sure that I get 8 or 9 hours of sound sleep. For a lot of people, this may be difficult to arrange. If, for example, there are young children in the house, it may not be possible to meditate during the early hours. A mother, right, has to get up, the kid wants to eat, change, or whatever. This is that, by the way, that itself is a practice. One mother went to Rabbi Shaz, I can't meditate this after the kids, one is this. That is meditation. What's wrong with it? That is practice. That's spiritual practice, taking care of the kids. So that's good. Good advice. And that woman became a good, solid student over the years. I also point out that the mind will tend to be sluggish if you have eaten a lot beforehand. Too hungry, no, but if you really ate a full meal, you know what happens. There's a full meal, you zone out. You loosen your belt, you lie on the couch. You veg out, that's the word. Ideally, you should not eat too much in the evening if you hope to practice well the following morning. That's advice that even Western doctors give now. Yeah, eating too much too late at night, something too heavy. As to the amount of time you should aim to set aside for meditation in the early stages, even 10 to 15 minutes before sessions is quite adequate. And this, of course, oral instructions to all of us here, a little at a time when you start. You should be looking forward when your little clock ticks, it's time to end. Oh, I want it to go longer. That's a good sign. If you push it beyond the next time it's time to sit on the cushion, you'll have all kinds of mental excuses. Oh, no, let me see what's this or what's that. Oh, I have to clean this off. So you want to leave when it's still good, going good. So you'll want to come back. This, again, is your judgment, and part of spiritual practice is developing your judgment and your mental, physical behavior on a new plane, on a new level, for a new purpose, for the purpose of other beings. It's much better to have modest ambitions than to embark on an unsustainable program, which is more likely to put you off than to help you ingrain a habit. Again, finesse, technique. It is also helpful to plan to practice a few minutes several times during the day in addition to the main session. Instead of going out for a smoke like you used to do, just sit quietly with the wall for a few minutes, watch the breath, things like that. As you keep a fire going by stoking it every so often, you can maintain the continuum of your meditation by topping up or topping off every now and again, so that what you gained early does not fade away entirely by the time you begin the next proper session. Again, an acquired technique, you know how to do it, nobody else can do it for you. This is you with your mind. Regarding where to practice, it is said that in the classical training manuals that sound is like a thorn in the mind. Well, living 75 years in New York City, it was really a thorn in the mind. You sort of block it out. So people live in an urban environment a lot of times, unless there's like the usual unexplained explosion or, somebody starts dropping the F-bomb in the middle of the night, the sound doesn't bother you, However, every night they drop the F-bomb. Oh well. For most people, therefore, it's very helpful to find somewhere to sit where we will not be disturbed by noise. The modern world is tough. I mean, even you go in a forest, there's jet planes, you're on a flight pattern, forget it. So you got to get used to it. It's a good idea to switch off the telephone before starting. Yeah, and your cell phone too. Bury it in the pillows of the couch, anything, you know. But none of this is to say that meditation cannot be practiced more or less anywhere or at any moment of the day. I'm talking here just about the ideal. Personally, I find it a good use of time to meditate when traveling. He's very good. Rinpoche used to do that. Rinpoche. He had this trance he would go into. So it's a semi-meditation. And you thought he was asleep and he'd make a remark about something. You'd think, no. But he would get himself that way because a lot of Tibetans weren't used to motor travel and he would get car sick. So he didn't take Dramamine or anything. He had a way of just calming himself down when planes and trains and cars. Mm-hmm. As to the physical posture appropriate for meditation, any position that is comfortable will do, though if you become too comfortable, there is a danger that you may drift off to sleep. So what's wrong with that? I said. That said, it can be helpful to adopt what is usually called the lotus position, in which you cross your legs, each foot resting on the opposite thigh. One of the advantages of this position is that in addition to keeping you warm, it keeps your back quite straight. That's true. Straight back is the whole show. You can sit in a chair, but the straight back is most important. And the loose shoulders. And the slightly bent downward thing. This you have to listen to comments and then try it out on your own. Everyone is different. But when you're in a nice posture, all the internal organs are getting the right blood flow, the right, those fluids that go through the body. I forgot the name they call it.
Not hormones.
No, the one's not published. Well, anyway, they call it prana. They call it chi, stuff like that. The flow of energy through the body, plus the blood itself. One of the that and keeping you warm keeps your back straight. At first, it may be uncomfortable, in which case simply sitting with your legs crossed some of the time is all right. As indeed, sitting on a chair, if that position is also difficult. Alan Wallace has actually the supine position. I wouldn't dare try it. I'd be asleep in 2 seconds. Are you kidding? Maybe he does it on a bed of nails. I don't know. A bed of linguine would be better. No, never mind. Similarly, for those who, on account of their faith tradition, prefer to meditate while kneeling, that too is all right. You should choose whatever position you find least distracting. That's the whole point. What lets me watch my mind. And it's sitting straight in a chair, relaxed, and the shoulders. You'll see when you sit for a while, suddenly, oh, I thought I relaxed my shoulders. No, I don't. Here they are going off on their own. That happens. You relax your facial muscles. Relax your hands. So no gripping and stuff. Relax your feet. You can do a body scan. A lot of people do. Katie Cole, great instructor in meditation. She's on the internet. Venerable Katie Cole, Cole, has all these things. Back straight, this, that. She has a very nice way of speaking. She's a therapist in addition to being a fully ordained nun. So she's good. So she's the best in terms of adjusting your physical posture. And every time she gives a lecture, she starts with 5 minutes, okay, back straight, this, that, shoulders are loose. Wonderful. And you find it's very beneficial for your health. That is it's like getting a good night's sleep. A good meditation session drains all the tension out. If you do choose the lotus position, you place your hands in a relaxed position. Sometimes they do this, with the back of the right hand resting on the palm of the left. That's right. Female holds the male. Wisdom holds compassion. That's left and right. That's what that symbolizes in this context. Allow the elbows to rest loosely, pushed out a bit from the body so there is a gap in which air can pass through. The Zen master once said, we hold our thumbs touching as if we're holding a sheet of paper. We hold our arms as if we had an egg under each armpit. It becomes hard-boiled. Everybody has to we have to make jokes. That's our style. Although often it's helpful to sit on a cushion which is raised slightly at the back. That straightens the background. That's true. Slightly tilted. And then the head isn't like this, like you're in the army, like straight like this, sir. No, it's loose like this. But awake, aware. Relaxed awareness is what we're running for, we're looking for. The backbone should be kept straight as an arrow, with just the neck bent a little downward. What does Katie call us? She says your spine is a ring of clear pearls or something reaching all the way up above your head. You think of it straight up, clear, shining pearls. Whatever works for you. Keep the tip of the tongue touching the palate. That helps prevent saliva flow and thirst, etc. The lips and teeth can be left as usual. The eyes are concerned. You should discover your soul position works for you. Some people close them. Some people find that puts them to sleep. Wide open is no good. Gaze downward. Tipton Children's advice is crack them a little, let some light in. I found that's very helpful for me. You find what's good for you. That's all. Then sometimes you just start to take this position, the mind already snaps to, oh, we're going to meditate now. Nice, nice. Most half closing the eyes in general health. Okay, relaxing and setting the mind. Do we have time to relax and set the mind? No, we don't have time. This is page 163. Once you are settled, the first thing to do is take a few deep breaths. Yes, because what are we looking for now? The unity of the physical and the mental. You're watching the breath in and out. So most of the time, our physical body and our mind are in two different places. This is bringing about a unity. Somewhat. As sloppy as it is, or whatever you want to call it, light as it is, I found it to be a big deal. Once you are settled, the first thing to do is take a few deep breaths. Then breathing normally again, try to focus your breath. Noticing the air as it enters and leaves through the nostrils. What if I can't breathe through my nose? It's all right, Pabanka Rinpoche said. Sometimes the energy's flowing in and out of the mind, out of the mouth, rather. He calls it the energy's flowing in and out of the mouth. So that's okay. So you work on this yourself. The idea is not to force yourself into something that's like an acrobatic technique. Eventually, things iron out. The body relaxes. It takes to this. What you are trying to achieve is a mind in a neutral state. Neither positive nor negative. There's a reason for that, and we can go on forever on that, but it's a big deal. Alternative, you can take one inhalation and one exhalation while silently counting from 1 to 5 or 7 and then repeat the process a few times. You can count the breath. You're giving the mind something to do, and you're giving the mind something to do that makes it cognizant of the body, of the flow of energy, physical energy going through you, if you want to put it that way, new agey way. The advantage of this silent count is that giving your mind a task to perform makes it less likely to be swept away by extraneous thoughts. God forbid. No, you're going to get nothing but extraneous thoughts. So don't worry about it. In either case, spending a few minutes just observing your breathing is usually a good way to achieve a calmer mental state, especially when you're fuming because the bus isn't here yet or the train isn't, whatever. Darren, what do you have? It's time. We'll end. What? No names?
No names.
So we could just pray for the folks. Poor beings caught in the war zones all over the place. Spin the globe, you'll find a place where there's conflict. And now riddled with high-tech weapons. Oh, great. Sutra, the recollection of the Noble Three Jewels. I prostrate to the Omniscient One. Thus the Buddha, Bhagavata, Tathagata, Arahat, Samyak Sang Buddha, the learned and virtuous one, the Sagata, the knower of the world, the charioteer and tamer of beings, the unsurpassable one, the teacher of devas and humans is the Buddha Bhagavat. The Tathagata is in accord with all merit. He does not waste the roots of virtue. He is completely ornamented with all patience. He is the basis of the treasures of merit. He is adorned with the minor marks. He blossoms with the flowers of the major marks. His activity is timely and appropriate. Seeing him, he is without disharmony. He brings true joy to those who long with faith. His knowledge cannot be overpowered. His strengths cannot be challenged. He is the teacher of all sentient beings. He is the father of bodhisattvas. He is the king of noble ones. He is the guide of those who journey to the city of nirvana. He possesses immeasurable wisdom. He possesses inconceivable confidence. His speech is completely pure. His melody is pleasing. One never has enough of seeing him. His form is incomparable. He's not stained by the realm of desire. He's not stained by the realm of form. He is not affected by the formless realm. He is completely liberated from suffering. He is completely and utterly liberated from the skandhas. He is not possessed with dhatus. His ayatanas are controlled. He has completely cut the knots. He is completely liberated from extreme torment. He is liberated from craving. He has crossed over the river. He is perfected in all the wisdoms. He abides in the wisdom of the Buddha Bhagavats who arise in the past, present, and future. He does not abide in nirvana. He abides in the ultimate perfection. He dwells on the bhumi where he sees all sentient beings. All these are the perfect virtues of the greatness of the Buddha Bhagavat. The Holy Dharma is good at the beginning, good in the middle, and good at the end. Its meaning is excellent. Its words are excellent. It is uncorrupted. It is completely perfect and completely pure. It completely purifies. The Bhagavat teaches the Dharma well. It brings complete vision. It is free from sickness. It is always timely. It directs one further. Seeing it fulfills one's purpose. It brings discriminating insight for the wise. The Dharma, which is taught by the Bhagavat, is revealed properly in the Vinaya. It is renunciation. It causes one to arrive at perfect enlightenment. It is without contradiction. It is pithy. It is trustworthy and puts an end to the journey. As for the Sangha of the great Jnana, they enter completely, they enter insightfully, they enter straightforwardly, they enter harmoniously. They are worthy of veneration with joined palms. They are worthy of receiving prostration. They are a field of glorious merit. They are completely capable of receiving all gifts. They are an object of generosity. They are a great object of complete generosity. The protector who possesses great kindness, the omniscient teacher, the basis of oceans of merit and virtue, I prostrate to the Tathagata. Pure, the cause of freedom from passion, virtuous, liberating from the lower realms. This alone is the supreme ultimate truth. I prostrate to the Dharma, which is peace. Having been liberated, they show the path to liberation. They are fully dedicated to the disciplines. They are a holy field of merit and possess virtue. I prostrate to the Sangha. I prostrate to the Buddha, the leader. I prostrate to the Dharma, the protector. I prostrate to the Sangha, the community. I prostrate respectfully and always to these three. The Buddha's virtues are inconceivable. The Dharma's virtues are inconceivable. The Sangha's virtues are inconceivable. Having faith in these inconceivables, therefore the fruitions are inconceivable. May they be born in a completely pure realm. And one more element to our presentation tonight, and that is a prayer for a swift return, written by His Holiness Dalai Lama, for the swift return of our teacher, whose picture is on over here. On my left, your whatever, reverses. That's Rato Chungla Rinpoche, who founded this Tibet Center in 1975. So we're still here. Exalted wisdom of all victors gathered in a drop. Sole refuge manifest in the form of the one wearing saffron robes. Guru Lozang Tubuang Dorje Chang, please bear witness here today that our prayers may be fulfilled. We beseech the great torch of doctrine, accomplishing from long ago the vast waves of aspirational prayers. Lord of speech of the victor Lozang's teachings, spreading them to the ends of the earth by means of explanation and practice. Though holding the commitment, I will invite all beings to be my guests in unsurpassed great awakening. Yet you have withdrawn the activities of the form body that serves the welfare of others. Is that worthy of the supreme among beings, the bodhisattvas? Though impossible for you, till cyclic existence's end, to abandon your commitment to liberate all beings, we beseech the new son of Nirmanakaya to swiftly return from the realm of Dharmakaya, brought forth by bodhicitta, drawn by 7 steeds. Having reached the far limits of scholarship, religious life, and goodness, please come swiftly as an unrivaled supreme emanation, full holder of the sage's teachings and wish-fulfilling jewel, return as the glory of Lozang Tenpe. Magnificent truth of the 3 precious jewels, Mahakala Karma Yaman Sri Mata Devi, and the ocean of Dharma protectors, may you spontaneously fulfill our wish, the swift blossoming of the reincarnation's fresh moonlight face. So this concludes tonight's program. The next Dharma presentation will be right here tomorrow at 7 o'clock, continuing with this secular ethics theme based on this book, Beyond Religion, by His Holiness Dalai Lama. Big love to all of you.